All right, guys, so in this video, I'm going to be taking you through a hip mobility sequence. This is something that you can use on your off days. You can use this before a workout to get loosened up. This is a little bit different than our hip mobility warm-up type drills. These are going to be a little bit longer hold stretches, right? These are intended to increase, this is more of a protocol, right? So if we want to increase our ankle mobility, we want to think about what's a protocol that we can do that we can work into our routine each week that improves ankle mobility. So if we're trying to improve hip mobility, you want to think about this as almost corrective exercises, something that you do before your workout. This could be something that you do on an off day, but if you're struggling with tight hips, this is going to be something that's going to help loosen them up. All right, so the first one we're going to do is going to be a Frogger. Now, I like a little bit more of a modified Frogger. A lot of times you might see people go really, really far out with their legs and kind of go here with them. Now, what I find is that hurts a lot on my knees, so I kind of do what's more of a modified one, which is that my feet aren't that far back. I do bring my knees out, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get into a good position where instead of having my feet out, I'm going to just go ahead and let them be in a little bit. Now, what you can do is take a towel, fold it over, and kind of use it here for your knees, or use a mat. In yoga, a lot of times we would flip the mat halfway for this, because it does, after a while, kind of create a little pressure here in your knees. But it is really good for the internal hip. So this is why we kind of will sacrifice a little bit of pain for a little bit of mobility. So as I'm going here, I can adjust my feet to where I like it, to where I feel that stretch at the bottom of this position. So I got my hands out in this plank position, and I'm thinking about rocking back, pushing myself into position. And then from here, when I hit that wall, I want to take a deep breath in, deep breath out. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Now that's going to be about 3 to 5 breaths. Depending on how tight you are, you might need to hang out there a little bit more, but after I usually do a hold in a position, so I'll hold, do some breaths, 3 to 4 to 5 breaths, and then I'm going to mobilize that area. So I'm going to now go into more of that rock back. So I'm going back and forth here, trying to work it, thinking about more of reps instead of breaths on this. So after about 5-6 reps, you'll know how many are good. Now, there's no right or wrong. Say you do some more reps and you want to hang out here a little bit longer, right? That is the beauty of this routine. We're trying to explore in those hips. So after I did some reps, I feel like I have more range of motion. I'm able to get deeper into the stretch, and now this feels a lot better because I'm stretching the glutes at a deeper position that I wasn't able to hit before. So sometimes doing the breaths and then mobilizing and then getting back into it and then focusing on some more breaths, this is going to help you a lot in this exercise. So sticking with the same internal, now we're going to go ahead and get into a rock back. So a straight leg rock back. I take my leg out to the side, and now I'm in this half kneeling position. Now in the back, you can have your foot down, or you can kind of have it up, right? You can have it down, you can have it up. That's going to depend on your mobility. So from here, I'm going into my rock backs, right? And what I don't want to see is with my back that I start rounding like this to get into that position. I don't want to be hunched over. I want to be straight, so I want my core neutral, pressed into the ground, and then I'm rocking back into position. And like we said before, we can get here and now we can hold. Do some deep breaths. And now I can feel myself sinking in. I can feel my hip on the other side, loosening up this hip flexor. So I've given myself a little bit more range of motion, a little bit more freedom of space there. And then now I can come back and I got more range of motion. So this is going to open up my body a little bit more. So this is going to be good for when you're getting ready to go into your workout. Now you might have some more range of motion in those exercises that you didn't have, especially if you didn't get a good night's sleep or you're tight. So then we go into the other side. We're going to do the same thing. Now each side to side, is always going to feel different, so we might need to hang out here for a second, right? because I got some, I might be tight here in my groin, right? I might be tight on the back side of this, or I might be tight back here on my hip. But either way, we want to explore that motion, all right? Explore, give your hip that ability to go through those ranges. Now, a lot of times you'll see me teach our advanced students in our class more of a rock back version where we actually will use this and reach over and have them explore through this range of motion even more, but definitely not something that we recommend if you're just starting off. But if you are used to some mobility, go ahead. You're gonna need a little more hamstring flexibility in this exercise, but that is a good variation to go off of that rock back. Now for the last exercise, typically you see this in all of our warm-ups to start, which is our 90-90. So what I like to do is get into two good straight lines here, parallel at my quad, parallel at my shin, right? It's almost like you're sitting in a chair, and a lot of times you'll see this foot kind of creep up. So when you first get in, check to see what your angle looks like. This is more 45. We take it back out to 90, right? 90 degrees. We want a perfect square. From there, we want to see if we can sink our hips to the ground, get the internal leg here, deep breath. So sometimes what we'll do is we'll get into this postured up position right here, and we'll do some of our deep breathing drills. So we might do 3 deep breaths here. So what I'm able to do there is calm this down a little bit. So as I breathe, this hip starts to open up, and now I'm ready to go and lean forward, which as I lean forward, I'm gonna start to feel this on this far side, this back side, but feel it in this right hip. But most importantly, I'm gonna feel it kind of going up my back as well. So I take my hand, I try to keep it here near my foot to try and lock myself in. A lot of times if you don't, what you're gonna do is fall out this way. Now there's nothing wrong with exploring out this way, but the first thing you wanna do is make sure that you get all ranges, and that one is starting off here. So once I'm down here and I get my hand in and I'm kind of locked in, I'm gonna start that breathing. All right, now I'm gonna take this and I'm just gonna rotate. So when I teach this rotation, a lot of times when I don't emphasize this, we just see a lot of kind of legs flying around. What you wanna do is, as you get ready to open up, I want you to use this muscle, right? Use this leg to open up this hip. The leg stays glued into the ground. This one's gonna stay glued into the ground, and we just rotate those feet and we fall to this other side. And now, as I scooch back here a little bit, we're back into the 90 degrees on the other side. So if I switch back to this side, I should be 90 degrees. If I switch back to this side, it should be 90 degrees, right? So my feet never move, my hips move, my body moves. And then now we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna posture up. So I feel this stretch on this back side. Now I'm gonna lean into the next part of my stretch. And there you have it, guys. That's the 90-90 sequence, and that is the entire hip mobility protocol, at least one of our protocols here. So there you have it. We went through the frog stretch. We did our rock backs with the frog. We did a straight leg rock back, and then we kind of finished it up there with a little bit of a 90-90 hip stretch. So I hope you enjoyed the sequence. I hope it helps you get your hips mobilized, and in the future, if you ever feel like you're getting stiff or your back is getting tight or your knees are starting to, just get a little achy, sometimes just trying a little foam rolling and then doing this hip protocol, or even lacrosse balling and then doing the hip protocol, you're going to be able to see that a lot of times you're going to be able to get rid of all that pain that you're feeling. All right.